Friends, good morning. I haven't been able to make you one of these videos in what feels like months, if not a year. My foot pain has made it contraindicated for me to do my foot strengthening, my beloved foot conditioning, foot strengthening, and so I haven't been making videos of it. It's been super demoralizing on this end. Um, Today I've had a bit of a breakthrough. You never really know when you're going to have a good foot activation day. There'll become parts of your feet that you'll wake up, and you'll wake up pretty much permanently. But then there'll be parts of your foot, muscles in your feet, that you can kind of feel some days, and then they'll sort of recede, and you're like, wait, where'd that muscle go? I was getting really, good firing of that muscle last workout or last session. I don't consider like what I'm doing right now as like a serious workout, right? I'm not squeezing my feet hard. This is really more of just mobilizing, right? Talking to your feet, just moving the muscles. So I have had a bit of a breakthrough in those lateral foot muscles, right? So I'm going to show, as usual, my right foot showing the sort of ridge of articulation here with straight flat toes and a big toe that is not driving hard into bunion-ish territory. It's staying pretty straight. The left foot, it's coming. It's still coming. I've been talking about it coming along for a year, but guess what? It is. It's just slow, and it's not like I have to get perfection out of this foot activation for this to feel dramatic improvement in the way this foot and this hip, and as a result, the entire side of my body functions. Okay, so this is actually feeling super good, and it's feeling especially good today. And I wanted to bring up two things about it. One, some reflections on toe yoga. I always make fun of toe yoga in my head. I'm always just ranting and railing about how stupid toe yoga, quote unquote, is. Like the drive down the big toe, the drive down the little toes, right? It's literally a distraction. So my issue isn't, so that's what I should be clear. The reason I get so exercised about it is not because it's like bad. It's not, there's nothing wrong with doing that movement for your foot. It's that it doesn't actually prove any of the things that people think it does about your feet. It doesn't mean you have a strong foot, okay? And therefore, it is an opportunity cost if you are, it's a lost opportunity. If you're practicing getting that sort of dexterity in your feet to be able to articulate the big toe versus the digits, I mean, what are you not doing? You're not really strengthening your foot. You're just like practicing a really ineffectual, impractical, non-functional exercise. And the people that recommend it surprise me, right? People that otherwise understand functional exercise for every other part of the body are like, no, no, no. With the toes, you just, this is what you got to do. You got to like push down the big toe and then push down the little toes and try to do them separately. And yeah, like it's a little hard for me to do it with it takes a bit more concentration for me to get the articulation, but I can do it reasonably well. And I'm telling you, I do not practice it. I do not practice it because there's just no benefit. Okay, so I'll say more about that. But here's what I wanted to say about that today. I think because a lot of these things in fitness get started with like a germ of truth kind of thing. Like there's a germ of application behind that exercise. And I think what they're trying to get you to do is have what I'm trying to do on my left foot right now, which is straight-ish toes with independent flexion of the short flexor. So I'm keeping my toes straight as I can. I'm keeping them as straight as I can, and I'm flexing them. And my big toe is not, I'm trying to not let it squeeze. That toe has a tendency to squeeze more into bunion formation. This one you can see, I'm pushing down with the the little toes. And the big toe eventually gets pulled into the mix, right? It's not a completely independent actor. It's influenced by those toes. So once they get to a certain amount of depression, it's also going to come down, right? And I'm going to feel those muscles on the inside line of the foot. But what I think that toe yoga, especially driving down the little toes and leaving the big toe up, what it's trying to get you to do is activate the muscles in the lateral side of the foot that I talk about all the goddamn time. At least to myself. I don't know if I talked about it to you guys, but if I've posted my videos about it, which is a big if because it's 2023 and I haven't posted like any of them from 2022 yet. But let's share those today or sometime soon. But what I'm feeling, right, what happens is you're not able to drive those down if you don't prioritize practicing them. Now, here's an example of me using the little toes and the big toe on this is my not good at this foot, and I can feel the activation of the muscles underneath the foot, but that are, I just can't reach to show you, but underneath this. I always try to show in the hand, the lateral side of the hand. Super important, right? Super important. Just like in the hand, I've said this a million times, but again, I don't know what you've seen. If you were to make a fist and like leave your pinky and ring finger out and just like squeeze just will be the medial arch equivalent of the foot, you get no power. You got to squeeze the whole thing. And so we're practicing, but you don't practice squeezing like this and like this. You practice making a fist, right? So again, yeah, you got to practice making a fist with your foot. It's really the same thing. It's not rocket science. We like to make it rocket science because I think the fitness gurus think that this is too boring and no one's going to do it, so they don't just tell you. Or it's so simple, they can't see it. I don't know. Okay, so this foot has come a long way. And what do I mean? It's because I'm able to get, even though that big toe is coming more into like, it's doing like a bunion range of motion. What does that mean? There's muscles in the foot that make like this shape, kind of like a 7, that pull the big toe towards the midline. And I just want to say, hold on that muscle, just hold on, because I want to upregulate the muscle, the major muscle that goes from these toes and underneath the foot, right? I'm diagramming on the top of my foot, but it's really under the foot. Go from those toes to this, basically back to that medial heel attachment. All right, so they've got this, they draw those toes down from the base knuckle. Okay, so from the base knuckle, not up at the tip of the toe, but at the base, what we think of the base knuckle of the toe. So this action, down, not this action, curl. Okay? So that would be your flexor brevis, essentially. All right, so your flexor digitorum brevis, because it's acting on the digits. Now, the little toe and the big toe have their own independent flexors because they're super important, right? The pinky and the big toe are very important independently, but there's also this combined flexion of the digits. Okay, I think the pinky toe is we'll just say the pinky toe is in that because it's variable in different people's anatomy. And for functional purpose, there's no reason to not think of it as all 4 toes driving down. In fact, this foot is compromised because I cannot activate my little toe as well. See how my little toe is the hardest driver on this side? Like, you can see the articulation of that knuckle, and I'm really feeling. It's because I want to initiate that action at least as hard at the pinky toe as at anywhere else on the foot. Okay, so integrate. You do not have to isolate. You can integrate. And on this foot, you can see that pinky toe is still high. I'm getting some whiteness of the knuckle because it is driving down, but the pinky toe itself is still up kind of high by comparison because that activation is not as good over here. It's good. It's better. I can feel it. It's not what you can see. That's the thing about feet. That's why also people probably don't teach this stuff because it doesn't make good video. But I'm telling you what I'm feeling, and I want you to try to feel it in your feet. Do it. Okay? So, there we go. Okay, so if I don't pay attention to it, I'm starting to... Okay, this takes concentration because this isn't a problem I have with the muscles. This is the brain talking to the muscles. So as soon as I'm talking into my camera and trying to like make semi-coherent thoughts, forgive me when they're often not, you lose that's bandwidth of your brain that you're not directing at your feet. So you'd be surprised. Like, don't try to do this and like talk on the phone. Don't try to do this and like, well, you can do it while you watch TV or something, but it won't be as good as if you're looking at your foot and giving it all your mental attention. Okay, so I'm going to chill on my feet for a second and just talk to you. So, because like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it, I haven't been able to do this for a long time because the connective tissue injury in my feet has made it so that squeezing these muscles too hard, because they're too strong, my muscles are so strong, they were aggravating the connective tissue by doing this too much. So I had to take a major break, which has sucked. But I don't want to go crazy on it today. I'm having a blessedly good day of it, and I don't want to fuck it up. But so I want to say a few things. One, super proud of that as well. So I want these guys to be more active and to push down from the pinky toe. I also want lift in the middle of the arch. Those toes are bent, but they're not curled. right? This knuckle is still flush or below the foot, and I'm not feeling a curling action. I'm feeling a lift, all right? I'm going to forgive the form of the toes and go with the activation I'm feeling, okay? So I showed recently in this toe, this way you can see I can keep those toes longer. Great. Style points, okay? Yes, that matters. I care, but it's not letting the perfect be the enemy, okay? So if you start and you have toes that kind of bend more like mine, but you're able to get lift in the middle of that transverse arch, and you're feeling that little pocket, right? The little pocket lift in the middle of the transverse arch. Now we're talking about a different region of the foot, right? We were talking about this, and now we're talking about squeezing up in the middle by pushing down. I just posted about a painful corn I had, especially in the center of this foot, that is completely effing gone. Completely effing gone. I lived with that sucker for years, decades of pain, and I had it surgically removed at one point. Surgically removed by a freaking podiatrist who didn't know to tell me that actually the reason you have this, it's not viral, it's not gross, you didn't get it at the shower or the pool, okay, shower at the gym or whatever. No, you got it because your foot collapses there and it's pushing into the ground and you're creating a pressure point and your body is building up a corn to protect itself from that pressure. Thanks, asshole, for not knowing that, even though that's your area, and I figured this out on my own, and that thing has been, I've had so many benefits from strengthening my feet, in addition to the fact that now I don't have a painful cattle prod in the middle of my metatarsal bridge. Okay, so back to toe yoga. So what I think they're trying to get you to do is turn on the muscle that does that depression activation of the toes that I'm feeling really well here. And again, I'm forgiving the fact that my toes are also doing a little adduction. That's okay. That's okay. I'm getting activation while I do it. So the reason I say that is because if your aiming is to do it as toe yoga, then you think that what's important is that you can isolate. And I'm saying no. What's important is that you're waking up the muscles, the sensation of the muscular activation, being able to get more drive is more important than can you make a picture perfect isolation. So I'm not getting a picture perfect isolation. I'm also, my foot's not on the ground. My leg is extended. My ankle is plantar flexed. It's not even like a great position to do that, right? There's a lot of variables that will impact the way your foot feels. But I am getting good activation there. And I wanted to share with you some of the sort of imagery I think that has helped me feel that lateral edge of my foot come to life, because this is going to be a really big deal for healing a lot of your feet. And that is, I tend to think, one of the things you can think about is, I'm making this weird, this is like, is that Star Trek or something? I don't know. Sorry, guys. Anyway, you can think of the ring finger and the big toe, or the middle toe, as having a relationship, and then the lateral three toes as having like a midline relationship. Okay, I know it's a different number of fingers when they divide like that, but that's kind of how I think of it. And I want you to think of making like a scissor effect between like, I'm sorry, this is more like the big toe and the first toe, and pushing down like along here. But what you're feeling is a scissor, not a scrunch, okay? But like you're squeezing from the base up, okay? The way you would with a scissor if you're gonna cut like construction paper in a perfect line. Okay, it's not that it's really hard and you don't want to curl, right? And you don't want the tips of the toes to come together. You want to feel like you're squeezing up the toes from like back here. And then you're going to do that same thing, but imagining in your mind's eye that the scissor is between these toes. So the action that is going to effectuate is a depression. You're looking for this, right? You're looking for flexion at the metatarsals. But one of the ways you're going to feel it, if you're someone who's getting like a clawing action or you're just getting no power there, is you're going to feel, I know, super awkward with my hand, but you're going to feel like you're squeezing the pinky and the ring and then the middle toe together from the base, right? You're going to feel like a fan of those toes together, and then just hold that activation, and you'll also probably be able to get a flicker of depression, but it's going to come from imagining squeezing. Now again, this is imagery. Okay? This is imagery to help your brain identify the muscle you're trying to wake up. So that has helped me a lot on this foot. Has helped me a lot. I've got, I've made other videos about that fourth toe and sort of the corruption of that fourth toe and what's going on there. I got a lot I could say. This foot is like, there's so much visual evidence of what's going on in this foot, at my hip, at the metatarsals themselves, etc. Okay? And again, it's not how the foot looks. Every foot has a different shape. My metatarsals are like super banked. Okay? And like, we'll talk about what that is. You can look up metatarsal adductus. I have like a pretty adducted foot, and so my toes look different relative to the shape of my foot. You might have toes that go straight out. That's awesome. Don't worry so much about like the look, the aesthetic, whatever. You're looking for the activation. So here, I'm able more and more to get a nice strong squeeze up those first two toes, okay, without a lot of curling, okay. And there's so many variations on this theme. You're going to look for pairings, look for different muscles that you can wake up. But for this very much sought after drive down of the lateral edge of the foot, okay, that drive down that's not curling and that I'm feeling in that, like where the blood is being squeezed out of my lateral edge of my palm, right? It feels like I'm doing that, all right? And that's how it should feel, like you're actually squeezed, like it's very little movement, but you're moving tissue. You know you're moving tissue because you're moving the blood out of it, all right? So you have to get that whole lateral edge of the foot to be able to squeeze without curling, without scrunching. And the way I have found that I can get my brain to give me that, wake that up, again, it's not perfect, but it's improving, is to think about like different scissor strips or ribs of a fan coming out from the foot, and thinking, just keep here's an example. Like I'm thinking about it now, and those toes just got longer, and I'm showing you, I'm trying to get them to stay long and squeeze together, join forces, and push down. All right, friends, it's almost a 20-minute video. Welcome back. Welcome to the series of videos I haven't posted for you, but that I've been making lovingly for you for over a year. All right. I'm gonna get on with this day. I'm very, very excited because my feet feel good, and it's always a good day when your feet feel good. And I'm just showing off a little the bank that I like to see in my metatarsals. Go rock your foot strengthening. Ask me questions below. I need to post for you my full foot strengthening video series because I'm really proud of it, and it should just be in the world for anyone who wants it. Anyone who's willing to work on their feet should have better insight than the trash nonsense that's on YouTube right now. Oh my God. So let me get you that. Big hug, friends. Have a good day.